graphing basic functions with reflections and translations. We want to graph y equals -1 over x squared plus 3. First, let's recognize that the parent function here, one of our basic functions, is the graph of 1 over x squared. Then the negative that's multiplied in the front of the function causes a reflection. So this graph is going to reflect the x-axis. And then there's a vertical translation. The plus 3 on the outside is going to move everything up 3 units. Let's start by graphing the parent function. 1 over x squared has a horizontal asymptote along the x-axis and a vertical asymptote along the y-axis. And it exists in quadrants 1 and 2. So it does pass through the point 1, 1 and approach the asymptotes, and through -1, 1 and approach the asymptotes. So this is the parent function, 1 over x squared. And then there's two things that are happening. There's a reflection over the x-axis. So that means that all of these points are going to flip. And so the graph of the reflection piece is going to be in quadrants 3 and 4. So now this is the graph of -1 over x squared. And then everything is going to shift up 3 units. So neither of these two graphs are the final answer here. So these are just kind of the steps in getting to the final answer. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to erase that parent function that's on my graph right now so that I don't clutter things up here. And I'm going to go ahead and move up the horizontal asymptote. Since the whole graph moves up, the horizontal asymptote will now be at y equals 3. And then I'm going to go ahead and move up these coordinate points 3 units. So I'm going to have 1 at -1, 2, 1 at 1, 2, and then I'm going to create my generic sketch here. So now this is the graph of y equals -1 over x squared plus 3. Here we want to graph y equals e to the -x plus 1. So the parent function on this one is the exponential function y equals e to the x. Now this time there's a negative that's being multiplied, but it's in front of the x, not in front of the entire function, not in front of the e. So because it's in front of the x, it's going to be a reflection this time over the y-axis. And then finally, this plus 1 is on the outside of the function, so it's going to be a vertical translation up 1 unit. Now let's start graphing. The parent function, y equals e to the x, is an exponential function, and it has a horizontal asymptote along the x-axis. Now to graph y equals e to the x, we should know that it's going to pass through the point 0, 1, because if I plug in a 0 into x, e to the 0 is 1. And if I plug in 1, I'm going to just get out the value of e. And so let's remind ourselves that e is approximately 2.718. So if I plug in 1, I get out to this point up here at 1e. And then the general shape of an exponential is that it's an increasing function. And we again have that horizontal asymptote of the x-axis. So this is the graph of e to the x. Now if this is going to reflect the y-axis, now the y-axis is like a mirror image. So we're going to have this flip here where 0, 1 is still going to be on the graph, but now I'm going to have this point over here at -1e, and I'm going to switch to a decreasing function for the graph of e to the -x. So this is the graph that takes into account the reflection. And then finally, everything is going to move up 1 unit. That includes the horizontal asymptote, so it was along the x-axis, now it's along y equals 1. And then we're going to move all of these points up here, so we're going to have our 0, 2, and then we're going to move up to -1, about 3.718. And then we're going to have this decreasing function still that approaches this new asymptote of y equals 1. So this is the graph of e to the negative x plus 1.